Hey everybody, this is Bernadette from EuropeanLife. I thought today it would be fun to do a podcast right from an event, and I'm really literally walking now in France on the Air Expo, France Air Expo. And it's an amazing view. It's outside, the weather is beautiful, and I'm surrounded with private jets and a lot of people interested in aviation industry. And actually I'm kind of amazed how small some of the planes are and how much people are walking here, and normal people like you and me. They are quite interested in having their private jet. And so it's very interesting to see what this industry have to offer. And because I thought it would be nice to take you a little bit with me and have my podcast here, I thought I'm just gonna show you. We are in Lyon on the airport, and actually, to be honest, we are literally on the landing strip where planes are parked. There are a lot of brands around us where they are having everything to do with insurance, of spare parts, or of there are a lot of schools, pilot schools, of course. And let me go over it and see what is my favorite plane, what is my favorite exhibitor here, and what's new in the industry. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Hi everybody, this is Bernadette. I'm actually back in the studio after my amazing trip to Lyon and the France Air Expo. Thank you so much for the team for France Air Expo for having me. I had such a great time. It was amazing to see all this plane, get into them and try them out. I won't say I'm almost bought my own plane, but you know what? It's tempting. You know, you are there outside and all these beautiful planes are there, and it's so smart. I would love to have my own plane, but no, that's never going to happen. So, but I promised you a top 3 of my favorite exhibitors on the Air Expo, and also I want to tell you a little bit about the gadgets we saw. The top 3, well, for us, for the team, it was the Cirrus SF50 G2. This plane, you can convert the passenger seat into a very big meeting room or small meeting room with tables. You can share a screen. Of course, I'm kind of focused on entrepreneurs because that's our target group and that's the ones I'm talking to, but it was amazing what kind of space you can have in a plane, to be honest. On board, Wi-Fi is available, so you can take calls. Now, on the technical side, of course, the plane looks beautiful. The design is really outstanding, so, you know, you must be very proud to, you know, arrive anywhere with that plane. But let me tell you a little bit about the range. The max range is 2,361.3 kilometers and average range is 1,759.4 kilometers. But it's enough to take off from Barcelona and fly all the way to Oslo, which is amazing for me. Can you imagine that you can just go that distance with your own plane? Wonderful to me. So the speed from max cruise is around 311 knots, which is like 576 kilometers. And that's about the same as an airliner. I've been told, you know, I don't pretend that I know everything about airlines, but I've been told that that's about the same, which is great because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs understand the value of having a private plane, of flying with a private plane, especially if it's about time. So, yeah, that helps. The second place we gave to TBM 960. It's a big plane also, it can fly around in speed of 2,935 kilometers, which is actually significantly more than the SF-50 we just talked about. And that's a big difference. So I'm told that that's amazing, that's different than other planes. And this is made possible with Pratt & Whitney turboprop, which use less fuel compared to a turbofan engine like the SF-50. Now I have to talk to you about fuel because, of course, I ask everybody, tell me, how about climate change? How about environment, etc., etc. Now I was actually kind of surprised that everybody, I actually expected them to say, you know what, who cares, it's my plane, it's my life. But to be honest, I was actually surprised that most of the owners of the planes and the factories, the brands, are very seriously working on that and said, yeah, we do know that problem exists, but that's also a huge investment and we're willing to take. We work on it and we're doing a good job. So yeah, they are very aware of that they can do something about it, and I was very surprised about that, but also happily surprised. So I'm proud of this sector. Now the third place is for Pilatus PC12 NGX. It's a Swiss brand, and I'm going to tell you later because I had an interview with Pilatus, and I'm going to have that interview also in this podcast, so stay tuned. And so you can hear the whole interview. They give you a lot of not only details about the plane, but also some selling points, why it's interesting for you to consider to buy a private jet in the first place, or that you can share it. And so it might give you a lot of inside information. It was a great interview, and I really recommend you to listen to it. Now, about the Pilatus, it's the biggest single pilot propeller plane available. It has a very large cargo door, which to me, I thought, how important is that? It is, to be honest. This plane is also sometimes used as an air ambulance, but it can have a lot of passengers too. And, as an entrepreneur myself, I would really prefer a big door, as I would for my car, to have that very easy entrance in your own plane. And what about the speed? If it's up to 4 passengers, it's going 3,339 kilometers, and the range with 6 passengers is 2,903. So you have to realize this is a big private plane with 6 passengers. So that's not something you just park in your garden, right? It's something else. And it's also certified to land in grass, sand, gravel, and dirt to make operations a lot easier. And I think that's amazing, actually. I have never seen that, but I think for a lot of companies, that might be very interesting information. Okay, so that's what about my top 3 of the planes. Let me go to the gadgets. To be honest, there was only one brand I thought you deserve this place, and that's Garmin. Garmin, who we had talked to both, who had 2 types of headsets, the Pro Flight Series 2 specially made for airliners, and it's more portable and comfortable for longer flights. And that's a great gadget you can have. So I want to mention that one, both with 2 types of headset, the Pro Flight Series 2. Keep that in mind. And then you have Garmin, and that's for the navigation service, but also their app to make flight planning easier for pilots by autograding a flight. I have to tell you, I'm just going to check it back, but I thought that one of the flights I was talking about also had that Garmin, yeah, here it is. The TB M960 has fitted with the brand new Garmin G3000, which is the most high-tech navigation system available for general aviation. So Garmin, well done. They deserve a place on my list. So I hope I give you a little bit more information. I will put my report we made as a team on the computer, so we on the website, so you can check it over and see some more information about our visit to France Plane Expo. So now about that interview, I had a live interview on the event with somebody from Pilatus, and I chose that company because their plane really stood out, I thought, and also that plane has some very specific things I would like you to know. Now, I was happy enough to had a talk with Patrick Köhler. Now, I don't know if I say it as beautiful, he can say it himself, so he's going to introduce himself in the interview, but he could give us all the information we needed. And also add some, try to explain why this plane was not only such a good plane, but also why, as an entrepreneur, you should consider it. Now, without any more information from my side, I like you to listen to this interview. Do understand that we are now gonna go back to the event, and I put that interview in this podcast. So enjoy. Okay, today I'm standing here. I'm talking to somebody from Pilatus. Please tell me your name.
My name is Patrick Kohler.
Okay, and what is your job?
My job is sales manager, general aviation.
Okay.
So I'm within the sales team at our main factory in Switzerland, where we basically are within a group of 5 people covering direct sales from the factory.
Right.
As you might know, our setup of sales activity is actually organized in certain territories. So, for example, for France, we have Monsieur Jean-Paul Aubert, which is dealing directly with the French market. We have others in Germany, Austria, we have in Czech Republic, we have in Poland, for example, and then obviously going abroad as well,
right,
in the US, Americas, etc. So within that, I basically take over the Italian market and all the Baltic states, and basically talking to prospects, taking questions, taking queries about our general aviation programs.
Right. Now, obviously, just let you know that I'm walking here around in this event, and I can see the plane, so it stands out for himself. That's clear. It's beautiful, big, it's there, it's strong. Love to see it. There's a big line standing for this plane because everybody wants to see the inside. But for me, our listeners are mostly entrepreneurs. People have their own company.
Mm-hmm.
People are using business planes mostly to save time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you could tell you a little bit more about why you think that plane would be a good choice for entrepreneurs. Could also be commercial for companies. I can imagine. Can you a little bit tell you about the selling points, why this is a good choice?
I mean, in broad, it's obviously a tool to use for companies, private individuals who actually want to gain time.
Right.
And basically, it is the aircraft which we see here, the PC-12, obviously offers the shorter fields, the gravel airports, the grass airports, to basically connect the people needing to travel, for example, to their sites of different locations, and obviously want to do that efficiently. So if somebody, for example, has various sites, let's say in Italy or in Germany or in the Eastern European countries, how do you assure, or how do you plan your day when you have to visit 3 different sites, which obviously, if you take commercial aviation, is a bit more time consuming than using an aircraft like that, right? So it's a tool which buys you time.
Right.
It's an aircraft, obviously, which offers you a safe transfer from A to B with your own staff, with your own people. You have your own crew, for example, or if you charter as well. But basically, it just brings you from A to B, and you basically decide, you dedicate, or you basically say when you want to fly. You're not basically depending on an airliner, on another passenger which feels sick, and then everything is delayed, or air traffic control. We deal with air traffic control as well, but obviously you have the direct access with this aircraft. Now, this is just a general thing. Now we're going into obviously the cabin itself. The Pilatus fleet. This is the third variant actually of the model PC-12. We had the Legacy, we have the NG, and now we have the NGX in front of us. If you go in, you instantly see there's a cabin. There's a luxury of sitting down, relaxing, but also being able to do business talks. And basically this while you transfer from A to B. It gives you the volume. It gives you the factor of an efficient, effective way of commuting from A to B.
I can imagine that it's also, I don't want to say a selling tool, but it's true. If you want to, show your status of your company in any way, then a plane would be a very good choice, right? It's the same if you go doing business.
I think it's a step up of your own activities, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's individuals which from the very first moment they have an aircraft. I mean, see what has taken place in the US decades ago is coming now to Europe.
Yeah. I think so.
We, for example, in South Africa, where we have leisure travel to go to the game parks, to go to see the remote areas.
Right.
In China, for example, all the northern areas which are connecting more and more with smaller aircraft like that size, to allow the mobility.
Right.
Of course, it comes with a price, it comes with a cost, and on the other side, like I mentioned before, it just gives you the effectiveness you need in a business environment.
Yeah.
On a private side as well, obviously, you want the privacy, and you want to have your family being basically traveled from A to B in the way you want. During the pandemic, obviously, as well, allowing the sanity of the healthy way of commuting, right? Instead of basically going into a larger cabin or a cabin of 20 people you don't know.
Do you also, because I know that there are also companies who have possibilities in shared planes, right?
Correct, yes, many actually.
Yeah, because I can imagine if it's your private owned plane, that's a lot of amount of money. Not everybody have that, but I can imagine that there are possibilities.
Absolutely. I mean, you see what has happened in the US a few decades ago. Obviously, Europe is catching up on that. You see it less in Africa. You see it obviously less in Asia, a bit in Australia as well. But basically, the timeshare, the fractional ownership is basically a specific segment of the aircraft market we can serve, the niche we're going for. And like you mentioned very correctly, some people say like, no, I'm investing. And I'm particularly saying investing into an aircraft like ours and not buying. But then there's a various group. There's companies which basically say like, well, we see the need for it, but we also see on a commercial point of view, economical side of view, well, we don't need it every day. So why not basically sharing the asset with other companies, right? So there's the business case. There's various business cases,
right?
And in Europe, you see this now. You have all these options, right?
Yeah, and I also think Europe, of course, for the business side, even going from I'm from Barcelona going to Madrid, which is very close. Well, it takes you half a day. I mean, it's still a lot of hours. Or now we are here. I have to drive still 7 hours. If I had a private plane, it would be much easier. So I think it's
definitely
that a win as well for your company and for you as for
That's
your time.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So okay.
give you a few more key points about the aircraft itself. We just spoke actually
yeah.
about the market itself, or the need, right? So, I mean, with the PC-12, we'll focus now only on the PC-12. You see the large cabin, at the cargo door, which also offers an easy access. You know, we have many flyers as well, you know, which are disabled. I think not disabled.
Disabled.
It's disabled. Yeah. So it's with a wheelchair lift, for example. It's easy to get into the cabin, you know. So you actually see a bit more. The way to enter into the cabin is much more friendly, I would say, right?
It looks very comfortable.
Than actually being moved through the passenger door. So that's why the cargo door obviously offers that space you need, right?
Yeah.
It's an aircraft you can use in multiple roles. This is just right now a passenger. Actually, we call it an executive seating configuration. You can use it for commuters where you add 9 passenger seats, multi-role like medical evacuations, or other applications, fire watch or whatsoever.
Right.
So, and obviously, like I mentioned, the cabin itself, larger windows than previously. The seating is nicely done nowadays, and we have a toilet on board as well, you know. So this is all what makes the comfort of travel as well.
If we're going asking about distance, so what's the farthest? I mean, say for example, you're flying from Lyon, where can you go to?
From Lyon with 4 passengers, you take yourself closer to the Greece islands, you know. Within Europe, you make every spot, you know. But I mean, depending on your load you have, you know, it's 2,500 kilometers. I would say is more or less a fair distance.
Right.
You do your southern, you do your Barcelona to Mannheim or Barcelona to Munich commuting. You do Riga to Thessaloniki. You know, all that kind of travels are obviously possible.
Okay, that's very useful. Okay, just roughly, I don't want to hold you on it, but what kind of investors are we talking about?
This aircraft you see in front of us is a $6.5 million aircraft.
Okay,
so it is obviously in that price range, you know, we're working in. I said again before, investing, because more and more this aircraft, because it does not really lose value over time.
No.
So therefore it is actually attractive as well for financial institution to basically support an acquisition, and hence this price range actually will also allow institutions like banks, for example, to support actually ownership as well.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for your information.
Thank you.
That was it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the interview and our visit to Lyon. I want to thank Jesse, Jürgen, and Raoul to be with me at this visit, because they were very important to give us all this technical information and tell us more about the planes. So for now, I hope you have a great week, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening today. Please subscribe and share this podcast. Do you have a question or a story to share? Please find us at podcast@EuropeanLifeMedia.com.